Man, Good Friday is a brutal one. The church is dark and bare, no colors on the altar. Clergy's all in solid black, there's no communion. And you hear a grueling tale of betrayal, disloyalty, abuse of power, torture, and a painful, gruesome murder. But nonetheless, we're here on a Friday afternoon to hear the story of Christ crucified, to gather as a community and share our grief. We have siblings who aren't able to be here with us today. To start with, it's Friday at noon, and I, for one, am actually supposed to be at work at the moment, but not everybody has that kind of flexibility at their job, and that's completely understandable. Some people travel to be with family for Easter, and that makes sense. And there are some for whom it's just too emotionally draining to sit here and listen to the Passion of Jesus read aloud, especially when we just heard it on Sunday. And that's okay too. Hey, knowing when something is going to be too much and abstaining, that is an act of self-care. And we hold all of those who are not with us today in prayer, those who are working, those who are traveling, and those who know when to step back. To be honest, in most things, I tend to be in that third group. There are many times when I try to avoid difficult or uncomfortable situations, whether it's a personal confrontation or a scene on television. One of my favorite shows is this hidden camera prank show where the stars make each other do these wild things to embarrass themselves, and I love it. But sometimes the situations are just too uncomfortable, and I'll skip ahead to the next episode or fast forward to the next challenge. Which made it really unusual when I decided to watch Outlander. It's not for everyone, but I had been hearing great things about it for years. If you haven't seen it, it's got time travel and castles and kilts, but it's also got some pretty graphic scenes of violence and war and torture. What I found surprising was that I was intent on watching every horrible, graphic moment because each one was important to the story. Yes, I was often watching through my hands or a blanket, enduring the pain. It was difficult. I was uncomfortable. At times, I was in tears. I mean, it's much easier to just jump to the next episode or fast forward through the battle scenes, skip all that and get back to the castle. But sometimes it's important to sit in those difficult moments, to hold those uncomfortable spaces and notice how you feel and react. It's about this time during Holy Week when we just click next episode. We come to the liturgy on Maundy Thursday with the foot washing and the stripping of the altar, and then we go home and we start thinking about everything we need to do before Easter Sunday. The casseroles and the eggs and the lilies. I mean, yes, Jesus dies on Friday, but I want you to stop. Don't look ahead. We only have the option to skip ahead because we know what happens next. The disciples, they didn't. No matter how many times Jesus told them, they never really got it. And what about Mary Magdalene? And Mary, Jesus' mama, the people we just read about, they are living in this moment of grief and pain, mourning the loss of their teacher, their friend, their son. Be brave. Get uncomfortable and bear witness to their grief. We have to. There is no Easter morning without Good Friday. The Gospel of John reminds us that even at the cross, people chose to sit in that difficult space. John intentionally tells us about the people at the foot of the cross, the disciple Jesus loved, Mary Magdalene, all of the other women. They were all there. They didn't disperse. They aren't hiding throughout Jerusalem. They were deliberately holding on to that uncomfortable and painful place because they loved Jesus. They did not click to the next episode. They bore the despair and sorrow with him. This intentional dwelling in uncomfortable spaces is not just a historical exercise we do when we read about Christ's murder. We are called to bear the world's pain and despair. For too many of our neighbors, for some of our friends, potentially even people sitting in these pews, every single day is Good Friday. And all they can do is their best to make it through today without the promise of a comfortable tomorrow. They are enduring uncertainty, pain, and marginalization with no idea when their Easter, their resurrection will be. My friends, we need to see them, especially when it makes us uncomfortable. It is too easy to look away, to cross the street, to ignore them, to fast forward through seeing the poverty that is surrounding us. But confronting that uncomfortability, you might not have enough cash to spare or food to give. And it's true, unless you're wealthy, you can't just help everyone who asks. But the least we can do is acknowledge their presence. When you sleep outside on the streets with no idea where you'll lay your head tonight, where your next meal will come from, or when it will be, the difference between the person who walks by you pretending they don't see you and the one who politely says, "No, I'm sorry, not today," or even just, "Good morning," it's substantial. In our baptismal covenant, we take a vow to respect the dignity of every human being. And contrary to what many people in society think, the poor and unhoused are human beings. And it doesn't matter how they got there or what put them there. They deserve the respect we promised to give, the love that Jesus commanded us to give just last night. They deserve dignity. And dignity is something we can all afford to contribute. My oldest, Jessica, and her friend Riley were somewhere and they saw a disheveled gentleman with a sign scrawled in Sharpie on the back of a discarded brown cardboard box. Riley had a couple of dollars and went to give it to the man. Jessica stopped her. "Riley, make sure you ask his name when you give him the money. And tell him to have a nice day." She did. And then Riley and Jessica, who even at 14 has ministry experience with the unhoused, they talked about what it was like. And Jessica explained to Riley that more than likely, no one has asked him his name in a very long time. There's a huge difference between having given a couple of bucks to the homeless man and giving a couple of dollars to Dennis. Jessica and I can guarantee that being asked his name made a difference in Dennis's day. If we can bear the discomfort of watching a harrowing scene on television or sitting through the Passion narrative, surely we can bear the discomfort of truly seeing those around us on the margins, asking their name, introducing yourself, shaking their hand. We need to be able to dwell in situations and places that make us uncomfortable, no matter how uneasy we might be. It means something to our siblings on the margins when we are present with them. Just like it meant something to Jesus that there were loved ones present with him when he died. If we can do that, maybe it'll start to feel less uncomfortable. Maybe we will be more motivated to do the hard work it will take, not to help the homeless, but to help Dennis and Ricky and Thomas and Mr. Frank, to fight the evils in our world that keep them on the streets and on the margins. For the next day and a half, we will be dwelling in that space between crucifixion and resurrection, It's a hard, silent, essential space. Linger in this moment of grief, of fear, of pain. Live it. Feel it. Don't rush to the casseroles. Instead, look for the Good Friday spaces in our world and dare to dwell there, to love there. Because we can only truly appreciate the joy of resurrection if we bear the pain of those who suffer on Good Friday.